Okay, to introduce myself, I'm Elaine Hampton and I'm a Will and GP facilitator in North Wales with a remit for acute oncology services. And I'm here today to discuss the Bevan Exemplar project that we've developed to enable primary care access to care of unknown primary services. So I'm presenting today on behalf of the team who developed the toolkit. The team was led by Samir Masala, who is nearing the end of her training as a medical oncologist, and also included our consultant medical oncologist and a malignancy of unknown origin MDT lead, Anna Mullard, and also Dawn Griffiths, our acute oncology nurse practitioner, who is absolutely integral to the pathway, without who this could not have happened. So the next slide, I've just put up a little bit of a guide to the terminology because I suspect this is quite new to terminology to some. The initial malignancy of unknown origin service is basically a secondary care based scheme. The patients usually are actually in hospital and they're found on an investigation via a CT scan or possibly an MRI scan, they're found likely to have metastatic cancer but no obvious primary service. They're then referred for advice to the malignancy of unknown origin service, and that's run by the acute oncology team. The service offers an assessment and advice service about which further investigations are recommended or not, depending on the individual patient and how well or unwell they are, and as to the management recommended. The patient remains the responsibility of the initial secondary care team and only becomes the responsibility of oncology if they're to start their treatment. So the next thing was, why did we actually develop this? Well, patients that are diagnosed with cancer of unknown primary tend to present with what are frequently called vague symptoms or non-specific but concerning symptoms. These symptoms can include fatigue, weight loss, nausea or appetite loss, dizziness, confusion and atypical abdominal pain. And actually about half of patients who are diagnosed with cancer actually present in the first place with quite vague symptoms. There's also been found to be a strong correlation between GP suspicion of cancer and a diagnosis of cancer, but present in our health board, all the urgent suspected cancer referral pathways are all site specific. So to refer along one of these, the GP needs to have a good idea what the likely site of the cancer is. Now that works quite well for patients with what we call red flag or alarm symptoms, so which can indicate a particular cancer site, such as a change in bowel habit and bowel cancer, or gross hematuria and renal or bladder cancer, or possibly postmenopausal bleeding and endometrial cancer. But if they present with vague symptoms, this can be quite a challenge where there's a suspicion they may have cancer. So the GP might hope that the initial history, examination, investigations such as blood tests and chest x-ray make a particular site very likely, and then they can refer down one of these site-specific pathways. But if not, they have to either refer down a best case pathway, or if available, they could request a CT scan, or if by now the patient's now sufficiently unwell, they could arrange an emergency admission. So as you can see that all these things can lead to delays. The best guess pathway may be incorrect and then may be referred on to another pathway. If they are allowed CT access, it may be that might reveal a primary cancer. But if the CT scan only shows metastatic disease but no primary site, in order for the patient to be investigated further as an outpatient, primary care would need access to the malignancy of unknown origin service, and hence the development of the pathway in the toolkit. So the tools in the toolkit. So basically the development of a robust pathway was just the first step. The new service needed evaluation, and so we put together a set of data to collect, but more importantly, we developed questionnaires to gather feedback from patients and also from referring GPs. We also developed a leaflet for GPs to give the patients when referring, so the patients had a good understanding of what the service was they were being referred into, and also a set of information to be included or requested with the referral. What next? Well, we want to obviously share the toolkit as widely as possible. So Mayor would like to develop it on the other 2 hospital sites in our health board, both of which feed into the same malignancy of unknown origin MDT. Anna and I have already discussed it at a few events and have sent a copy of the toolkit to other hospital teams that have expressed an interest. And that's been in other parts of Wales, but also in England and Scotland too. We'd also like it to be part of the Bevan Bevan Adopt and Spread scheme. And I'm also currently looking at alternative entry points into the pathway, including via the same day emergency care unit in the hospital, which has been a previous Bevan exemplar, or via the rapid diagnosis clinics, which we're currently starting to develop in our health board. Also, Dawn, the nurse practitioner, is presently using a paper-based system to track the patients in the service, but we're looking at trialling a virtual ward system on a digital platform such as the Welsh Clinical Portal. So delivering the change has been very difficult. As you can imagine, it's one thing having a vision, but it's very hard making it work, making it actually happen. There's been lots of challenges and barriers. We do feel we've learned. I think we all feel we've learned a lot by the process. Particularly one of our biggest learning points in this project was not to make assumptions. We had been told that radiology in our hospital site had already agreed to GP access to a CT scanning after radiology triage, but soon after the launch of the pathway, we discovered this was not the case. This is something we've yet to resolve. Unfortunately, I think one of the big factors that got in the way was COVID. We've also found the need to adapt. It's very easy to get fixed in your ideas, but actually working and discussing things as a team has made it easier to actually really look at things in a different way and adapt the project. And also we do feel that being prepared for a future project will be easier. We've learned a lot working with Bevan, particularly about building a business case and looking at financial and other costs in the project, and most particularly in engaging with others. So, thank you very much, Diolch yn fawr. And thank you for listening. Anna has kindly agreed to be the point of contact for anybody interested in the toolkit.